If I'm gonna keep it a buck, it doesn't really matter who you root for between these two, whether you're Team American Nightmare or Team Tribal Chief. I really think when it's all said and done, these two could be putting on one of the best storytelling feuds that we've ever seen in WWE history that we talk about for years to come. And it's very unique how both guys have different paths, but also kind of similar paths, how they both, were able to rise to the top in the main event scene. They throw Cody Rhodes into Legacy, right, getting mentored by Randy Orton and also teaming up with Ted DiBiase Jr. But even when he was in Legacy, I think a lot of people thought Ted Jr. was going to be the breakout star of the group, and he was going to be the one to propel to the main event scene. And once Legacy broke up, he was pretty much stuck in the mid-card scene for a lot of time, in WWE. I mean, he had some gimmicks that were hit or miss, like, dashing Cody Rhodes was cool for a little bit, and then he went to undashing Cody Rhodes, and then he became Intercontinental Champion a couple times and had some nice little decent runs as IC Champion, and was able to team up with his brother as well and become Tag Team Champion. So he had some decency, throughout his mid-card scene. And then he got fed the character Stardust, and that was like the kiss of death to his career. I thought he was cooked. I thought Cody Rhodes was cooked. It was over for him because he wasn't even a mid-carder at this stage anymore, if you ask me. He was a bona fide jobber. Cody Rhodes went from being into an established group to a mid-carder to just being a jobber with a character that was pretty much like a ripoff of his brother's character that really wasn't connecting with the audience whatsoever. It was so bad, Cody had to literally leave the WWE to reinvent himself on the indie circle in front of a smaller crowd and a smaller audience just to prove his worth, to prove that he was better than Stardust, and to prove that he could be a main event guy. And he went all over. He went to Impact Wrestling when Impact was really at its lowest with viewership and just really engaging with the wrestling community among the fans. He went to New Japan Pro Wrestling, had success over there. Ring of Honor had success over there, and of course the big promotion, he helped start AEW, which changed wrestling landscape for the era that we're in right now. And AEW was a great business move for the wrestling world, but I mean, it was like a double-edged sword for Cody Rhodes, man. The fans really were rejecting him heavily, and Cody to me was kind of in a tough position because he was a main event guy on that brand, but if he positions himself to be the world champion, then people are going to use that against him, saying that he's abusing his power to make himself the world champion. He's getting the Jeff Jarrett treatment, if you know what I'm talking about. And that honestly would be a detriment to Cody Rhodes, and I think he understood that to his legacy. He didn't want that staying there. But then again, it kind of hurt Cody Rhodes that he made the stipulation where he couldn't challenge for the world title. So it was like a double-edged sword, man. There was no win-win situation on the end of it. But then, shocking everybody, he leaves AEW and comes back to the WWE, and ever since he came back to the WWE, he became one of the biggest stars in the wrestling world. Instead of being rejected, he became beloved by the audience and became a bona fide, solidified main event guy on many different levels. In the last 2 years, this guy has won 2 back-to-back Royal Rumbles, has main evented 3 WrestleManias, is now the WWE champion, which he came back to complete a story that had meaning to it, that people were invested into, and people felt emotion to. And when he left AEW, nobody really knew if it was going to be a great decision for him or not, but in hindsight, it turned out to be the best decision of Cody Rhodes' career, because now he's at the top of the higher echelon. Cody Rhodes right now, you could arguably say, whether people want to say it or not, he could be the best in the world, and that's not crazy to say. And then you look at the journey of Roman Reigns. When Roman Reigns made his debut on the main roster, he was put into one of the greatest factions, arguably maybe even the greatest faction in WWE history, The Shield. The Shield was legit so special, and they were one of the main vocal attractions for WWE during their existence. And once The Shield broke up, WWE didn't waste any time to start to groom Roman Reigns to let us know that he was going to be pushed to be one of the next top guys in the company they were going to invest into long term. Roman Reigns' first WrestleMania outside of The Shield, he's in the main event, which was crazy because at that particular time frame, to a lot of the fans, Roman Reigns wasn't a WrestleMania established main event guy yet. A lot of people felt like he wasn't on that level yet, especially with him going up against Brock Lesnar, who was easily the most dominant and dangerous guy in the company. But that didn't stop WWE from pushing Roman Reigns for years and years. They pushed this guy so hard, and people rejected him for years, letting him know that we don't like you, and letting the WWE know he's not the guy that we want to be positioned in the top guy. But no matter how many times Roman Reigns got booed out of buildings, stadiums, it didn't matter. He main evented WrestleMania after WrestleMania after WrestleMania, and WWE continued to push him as their top babyface where they wanted him. And then, when 2020 came around, Roman Reigns was scheduled to face Goldberg at WrestleMania, but then the pandemic happened. We had COVID and everything shut down. Roman Reigns stepped away for a while and he disappeared. And then when he came back, he wasn't the big dog anymore. He came back with a different vibe and you could feel a different aura. Like immediately when he came back, you knew, now this ain't the same Roman Reigns that we once saw before. And ever since he came back that night at SummerSlam, he's literally turned himself to be arguably maybe the greatest WWE superstar of all time. That's not crazy to say if you ask me at this stage. Everything he's done since the pandemic, bro, forming the bloodline where it's had different layers to it, like the storytelling, the match quality, the championship run that he went on in this era is unheard of. Everything Roman Reigns has evolved himself into and everything that he's done ever since coming back at SummerSlam is one of the greatest reinventions I've ever seen any wrestler have. And this to me is what makes the feud so special, because they both have a lot of similarities with their come-ups, but it also is very different of how they've been able to get to the top as well. Cody Rhodes wasn't the chosen one. He wasn't the first option like Roman Reigns was. He was thrown into the mid-card scene, and then he was given a gimmick that was pretty much the kiss of death to his career. Cody had to leave WWE to reinvent himself. Roman Reigns was put at the position to be at the top from the beginning once the Shield split up, but they've also had similarities being rejected by the audience. Cody Rhodes got rejected heavily in AEW. Roman Reigns was rejected heavily in WWE when they were trying to force him as the top babyface. Pretty much, honestly, what Cody Rhodes is right now, that's what WWE wanted Roman Reigns to be when he was the big dog. But there's also something major that both guys have attached to their name, and that's the what if asterisk. Just think about it. Both guys, I don't think people can truly understand how impactful both guys been to wrestling in the last decade. Think about it. If Cody Rhodes doesn't leave WWE in 2016, what happens to Cody's career? If he doesn't bet on himself to say, I'm going to leave and go out to the independent circle, reinvent my entire career, recreate myself to prove that I'm a main event guy. If he doesn't do that, what happens to Cody's career? He may never become a main event guy. He may just be Stardust forever. And if he doesn't leave WWE, AEW may never even exist. He was one of the catalysts to even help AEW become a reality to what it is today, and what he did for the indie circle as well to help push the narrative to make indie wrestling as popular as it was with others like the Young Bucks and Kenny when they created All In 2018, when people said that no independent promotion could sell out an arena, and they did that. They broke records. Like, Cody was also a catalyst for that. If he doesn't leave WWE, none of that may ever happen. And you can say the same thing for Roman Reigns, just in a different aspect. If Roman Reigns doesn't leave WWE during the pandemic, if the pandemic actually never even happens in general, we may never get the Tribal Chief character for all we know. Which means we don't get the Bloodline storyline. We don't get the people involved in the storyline to help progress them up even further to where they are right now. Like that World Championship run that Roman went on, to me, which is the greatest World Championship run in WWE history, that may never happen either. And Roman Reigns, to me, also doesn't crack conversations that people started to put him in once he reinvented himself and was able to provide everything that he, has been able to provide as the Tribal Chief. And what I mean by that is, when Roman Reigns was the big dog, and if he had stayed the big dog, he still would have been a main event guy, and he still would have been a future Hall of Famer for sure. But ever since he reinvented himself into the Tribal Chief and went on that run as champion and provided the Bloodline storyline, which people called cinema, and he was able to level up so far, that's when people started putting him on like Mount Rushmores and started saying that he could be in GOAT conversations. If Roman Reigns stays the big dog for the rest of his career, I don't think he's cracking those type of conversations. And I truly believe this could go down as one of the best storytelling feuds in WWE history, because both these guys were born into the business, and both these guys, had similar come-ups, but then one guy was put into the lower level while the other guy was getting pushed at the higher level, and they both kind of had to have things line up where they had to do their own thing for certain scenarios to happen, and then they've been able to level up and reinvent themselves into the stars they are today. Like, both have similar journey to the top, but also is very different in the same aspect, and that's what makes it kind of cool. Like, Cody Rhodes wasn't the chosen one like Roman was. Cody Rhodes was never the option. Cody Rhodes was never even supposed to be where he's at today. Roman Reigns was always going to be in the position he was because WWE was going to put him there whether he was Tribal Chief or not. And they showed that year after year when he was main event WrestleMania after WrestleMania. Cody had to leave to bet on himself to prove that he could be a WrestleMania main event guy. And now they're both at where they're at. They've had 2 great WrestleMania main events together. One with, a villainous, heelish, type of victory that just broke people's hearts and shocked the world. And another one where it was like Avengers Endgame type vibes that people talked about, that they'll talk about forever, that is like cinema. And if they have a 3rd WrestleMania match, which could happen in the future, that may even top the first 2. And the 3rd one could be even bigger, because now it could be no interference. It could be just 2 guys, 2 dominant alpha males fighting for the same spot, trying to, prove that they're QB number 1. And somebody's going to have to sit on the bench and be QB number 2. And they both don't want to be number 2. Who's the real number 1? Who's the true face of the company? Who's the true top guy? That could be the story leading, later down the road, which would also add more, for the feud to be even better than what it is right now. And it's crazy that I'm already saying this could go down as one of the best storytelling feuds of all time, and it's not even over. We don't even know when it's going to end. But already the stuff that they provided with us, the matches that they've already had, and the storytelling they've already done with these two, and you look at their journeys, it's already headed in that direction, if you ask me.